The last time I did 3 short reviews of games, it did pretty decent for a channel of my size, so I figured why not do it again. Here are 3 games from a 1-bit jam, all based around the theme of shock. The Interloper is a game developed by PRDX23 and Mush Potato. The game is only a demo of what they have planned to make, which just makes me so happy to hear because this game was an absolute joy to play. The premise is that you are piloting a drone called the Quadbot Z through an abandoned research station in Saturn's orbit. Because this is a drone which we are piloting from Earth, the live feed is extremely noisy, with limited sight and a really grainy 1-bit feedback look to it. I think the first thing to note is that the game looks absolutely gorgeous. The fact that it manages to convey how grainy the footage of this feed is while still keeping absolute clarity over important objects such as our character, items, walls, and enemies, and it's doing all of this with only 2 colors, is absolutely incredible. I think a part of what makes this all work so well is the limited visual range. The way that you can't see what's behind objects until you move around them looks just as visually cohesive as you would find in a game using regular lighting engines for these kind of line-of-sight mechanics. After some exploring, you get a weapon to fight back against this station's security. These are the main enemies of this demo. Your limited line of sight does sometimes let them get the drop on you, but the shock grenades you are equipped with can be bounced off of walls, forcing combat to take a more slow and methodical approach. In general, this game's whole atmosphere, coupled with the lack of any kind of audio, makes you really take your time and assess your surroundings. I think that the lack of sound of any kind really works for this game. It's not only a lack of music, there are no menu sounds, no sounds when you are recovering health at a charging station, no sounds for enemies shooting at you, and no sounds for the quadbot shooting at enemies. I think that this is supposed to represent the very loose contact you have with the Quadbot Z from all the way back on Earth. But I think that it works to create tension, because in situations where visibility is limited, we often rely on our sense of hearing to detect danger, meaning that if something were to sneak up on us, we would have no way of knowing until it was in our line of sight. All of this to say, I have to imagine that a full release of the game will include some kind of stalker enemy, or at least some kind of mobile enemy. I think something like that would shake up the gameplay and force a more methodical player such as myself to really panic in that kind of situation. I think that this demo shows a lot of promise, and I would definitely recommend you check it out for yourself. I left out all the story details so that people could find them themselves. It's not an insane amount because it's just a demo, but it's definitely worth having a look at. Shrieky Holes is a game developed by, I'm gonna say this completely wrong, Spawns, SHPWNS. I can only describe this game as a tactical, turn-based ghost defense game. The premise is that you are a ghost who needs to protect these 5 skulls from various different intruders who will come into your manor. The game will go between your turn and the enemy's turn on this Cluedo-style chessboard. Every turn you can move up to 8 spaces and use a shriek attack once. Your various enemies will use their turns to move to collect the 5 skulls around your manor, or, if you are within their movement range, to attack you. I really like how this game stacks the odds against you in a few ways. Your enemies will almost always outnumber you, and they can move around in different directions to go for multiple skulls at once, splitting your focus. Even if they aren't all spread out, if multiple of them are near you on their turn, they can take out your health bar pretty quickly, meaning you have to be really careful about when you choose to end your turn and where you choose to end your turn. To balance this, the game gives you several advantages, which are only advantages if you use them wisely. For example, you can move through walls, meaning that you can position yourself before or after an attack to keep out of harm's way, and movement can be divided into before and after an attack. This makes for a playstyle where you pop out at your enemies and then fade back into the wall that you came from, like you would expect from a ghost in a haunted house. Your shriek attack is also quite powerful if you're smart about using it. It has this range of effect where you can hit multiple targets, meaning that you can take on groups if you're careful. and the Shriek has the added effect of causing enemies to panic. Once they are hit by it, they will then spend their next turn running in the opposite direction from you. I do really like this design philosophy of giving you a chance to wipe the floor with your enemies, but only if you're smart about how you do it. The game isn't too long, it's only 4 levels, and there's a lot that stays the same about those 4 levels. The map layout is the same, the skulls are always in the same location, and enemies always start off in the same hallway. Your character never changes or improves their abilities, but I think that there is a really solid gameplay loop in this game which has a lot of room for exploration of new mechanics and maybe some more incentive to protect as many of the skulls as possible. I do also appreciate that this is one of the only games from this jam which took the word shock to mean something other than electricity. This game is pretty solid and I do hope it's iterated upon in the future. I really recommend you check this one out. S.P.A.R.K Protocol is a game developed by Nakoda Pixel with music by Donutdroid. The game is quite simple in concept. You play as this adorable little robot named S.P.A.R.K who just wants to escape this laboratory. Make it through 7 levels and you're free to go. What separates this platformer apart from other platformers is that you can't jump. Instead, you have an omnidirectional dash, which now that I say it out loud is just a fancy way to jump. However, this dash is different to the type of dash that you would find in other platformers. Because you don't have the ability to jump, it's less of a correction tool and more of a basic function of how you navigate the world. It also has a lot of charges. You can hold 5 of them at any time, but with how quickly you recharge, you can really use it about a dozen times without any drawback, and even then, you can still use it pretty quickly. This dash also functions as a form of attack and defense. You can use it to attack any security bots who may try to stop you. And I think that while you dash, you are invincible to bullets, but not lasers. I'm not completely sure, but it definitely saved my hide more than a few times, only for me to end up dying a few moments later anyway. I think that the way that this dash is designed encourages players to take risks and try and progress through sections of a level at a faster pace than would necessarily be wise. And there's definitely a certain satisfaction to pulling off a plan which you had absolutely no guarantee of succeeding, especially because this game is actually pretty difficult. The difficulty ramps up pretty quickly over 7 levels, and the levels don't have checkpoints, meaning that if you die right at the end of one of the later levels, you lose a decent chunk of progress. At the same time, the game doesn't slow down even after dying multiple times, and that lends to the feeling that you're slowly improving at the levels. Especially because there are multiple ways to tackle every level. I ignored about a third of level 7's level design because I understood the mechanics and where I could sneak through, and I thought that that was really cool. I also have to say, the music and visuals for this game are simply fantastic. Part of why I love this 1-bit jam in general is because I think 1-bit lends itself very well to creating distinct and stylish visuals, and I think that this game is no exception. Once you've completed all 7 levels, you come to this area outside the facility where you have to push your dash feature to the limit to reach this platform that is way above you. Once you do, you get this very sweet ending message from the developer. I really can't recommend this game enough. Despite all the times I died, it was really fun, and there's a secret bonus level that I couldn't find, so that's reason enough for both me and you to give this game another go. So there you have it, 3 games from the 1-bit jam. In all honesty, there were a lot of really cool projects to come out of this jam, so don't be surprised if I upload a video next week titled 3 more games about Shock. And as always, if you enjoyed, be sure to subscribe, comment your thoughts on these games. I love to hear other people's thoughts on these kind of things. Hasta luego.